something called the German Fröbel Star. Looks like this. It's got these points and these edges here. Sometimes they're referred to as Moravian stars. So they're made from strips of paper. It is a German craft. And what you need is you need 4 strips of paper that are about 15 inches long. And each one of these you want to fold in half. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I am making the edges even right here, and then I'm sliding my hand down to flatten it so that they are absolutely perfectly folded. So like I said, we need 4 of them folded in half. Even those edges, slide your hand down, and you're getting them folded. So this is the first part of this, and it gets a little more complicated going on, so that's why I wanted to make my own video on this to show you where some of the pitfalls might be. It's not hard once you get it, and you get quicker at it as you go along. So the first part is we kind of want to make a woven piece. And let me see where I put my pieces here. Okay, so we're going to go ahead, and this part is going down like this, and this part goes over top. So there's 1 strip underneath and 1 strip on top. Can you see that? So that's what we're doing there. And then this part slides, these 2 pieces slide in between this one. Okay, so we're basically making a weaving here. So this part goes over inside of this one. I'm sorry, over top of this one. And through here. See if I've gotten this correct. So that when you pull it all together, it actually holds together. And now that is kind of snug, you kind of have to give it a little bit of a tug, get it all pulled together. So that's the very first step. Looks like that. Okay. The next step is you got to take this upper left top strip and fold it down. The lower left here on the side and fold it over. This one here, the top strip, gets folded up, and then the right strip, top one, gets folded over and then through this little pocket right here. So I'm going to go ahead and take that through the pocket. Sometimes they get a little stuck. If you shimmy it a little bit, you can get it through. Pull that tight. Now everything is locked in nicely at this point, so there's no movement in here. The next part is you have to make these spikes, and you're going to basically do every other one. So I'm going to start here with my right strip, and I'm folding it down and I'm creasing it there. See how that is? Then I'm going to fold it back over like this, so you have like an arrow, and I kind of even them up with these strips along the side so I get it nice and straight. And the next part is you're folding it back on itself. So I'm going to go ahead and fold that back. At this point, I'm picking this whole thing up and I'm bending this point away from me. This piece has to slide through this pocket right here. So I'm going to go ahead and slide this through. If it gets stuck, you can always cut the edge a little bit so it fits, and I'll show you how to do that in one of these. But I'm going to go ahead and keep that point folded back. See how my finger's holding that? And I'm going to start to pull that, and the point comes up. Then you're going to turn it 90 degrees. So again, you're using the bottom one right here on the right side. You're folding it over, folding it back, and then you're folding it in on itself. Pick it up, fold that point back. Now this strip here is kind of in the way, so I'm just going to fold that up and hold it up there. And this one has to go through this pocket. Once you get it through the pocket, you can release that and the point comes up. Now again, I'm turning it 90 degrees, and I'm going to fold this down, and I even everything up with these strips that are going downward here. That way I know I'm pretty much where I need to be. And I'm going to go ahead, fold this back. Each one is folded the same way. You just have to turn this 90 degrees to get to your next fold. Now I've got this piece of paper over top. It's in the way. I'm going to fold it up away from me, and then this has to go in that pocket. Slide it through, grab it, hold that point back until you get it all the way through. Okay, I have to turn it again. This one has to go down. See how I'm keeping that even with these? And I'm going to fold this back in the other direction. Okay. And again, we have this piece of paper in the way. You're going to fold that up out of your way. Okay. So let's get this here. And remember, you have to fold this back on itself, hold the point back, and this can go right through that pocket. Now it's coming through here, and I can pull that right up. So I move this one back out of the way, and that's where we need it, because now we have to flip it over. And you need you need 2 strips on each side. Flip it over. Okay, and now we're going to start to do the points on this side. So just like I did before, I'm folding it down, fold it over, fold it back on itself, and put it in there. Now remember, you turn this whole thing over, now you're working it from the other side. Again, I'm pulling that strip up, okay, turning it 90 degrees. This one's coming down here, fold it, fold it, fold it up, hold that point back, and we're getting this one out of the way so I can put this through here. And as I said before, sometimes it might get a little stuck. You can always trim the edge with the scissors right down here if that's a problem. I find if you wiggle it a little bit, you can get it through. Turn it 90 degrees, move this up out of the way, fold this down next to your other strip, fold it over on itself, back, hold that point back, and through the pocket. Okay, I hold that point back until I get it to a certain point where I can let this come up. Okay, I've got to turn it 90 degrees again. This one has to go up. I'm going to fold this down, fold it to the left, fold it up, hold that point back. And if you need, okay, so we are down to our last point here, and I'm folding this back, putting this through. Remember, you're always moving the strip out of the way so you can get to that pocket. Okay, so now I have 2 spikes. I've got spikes all the way around here. Now, this is the part that gets sometimes a little confusing. So we are going to start to be making the part that comes up and around are your points that stick up like this. And the reason it gets a little confusing is just which way you have to turn this. And I sometimes forget and I have to go back and look at it again so that I'm doing it correctly. So I'm going to hold this up, and I have 2 pieces of strips going off to the left here, and I have this piece coming down. And what you're doing is you're coming up, around, and through here. And what's interesting is where this is going. It's going between the spike there. So when you get it to that point, you pull gently, not too hard or too fast, and it makes that spike come up. Now we're going to turn 90 degrees like before, and we're going to take this one, fold it, kind of making a loop, and you're going in through here. And again, if it gets stuck a little bit, you can trim the edges so that it will work. And I'm just going to show you on the next one. This is working pretty well for me, but I'm going to show you how you would trim that. So I can take a scissors and say the next one, I'm going to turn it 90 degrees. Okay. This has to move over this way. And let's see, I'm having trouble getting it through. So I can just take my scissors and cut a little piece off like that to make it easier. I'm coming back down, around, underneath here, and it should come out between this. See how it's coming out through in between that spike, the corner, and down around. Now I'm turning 90 degrees, coming down, looping it back, and putting it through here. Now if it doesn't go, sometimes just that little wiggle helps it go in between. So now this one side has the 4 spikes sticking up. Now you got to flip it over. Okay. And I want 2 of my pieces off to the left like this, and I'm going to come down with this piece and around and through this section. See, when I pull that piece back, you can see it right here. I'm going to pull it, and I've got my spike. Turn 90 degrees and pull this one around, underneath, over here, getting it through. This one's getting a little stubborn. Sometimes you got to wiggle it. And if that doesn't work, then of course you trim it. Okay, let's trim this one. It doesn't want to go through quite right. Okay. Sometimes I pull this spoke back just a little bit so I can work it under here so I can see where I'm going with it. And there it's showing up on the other side. So sometimes they get a little stubborn, but you can do it. Pull it. And if you are getting confused, just stop the video for a minute, go back, see where you are, and work from there. I'm turning 90 degrees, okay, counterclockwise. That means the opposite way of the what the clock goes are to your left. Okay, so I'm going to move this one out of the way. This is the one we want to work. I'm going to twist it around, and I'm going under that spike. There it came out this side. I didn't even have to trim that one. Pull it. And now we have one last one to do. I turned it 90 degrees, up, around. See how that loop goes? You're coming down, up, around, and under that spoke. It's coming out the other side. And now I have this completed. Of course, now we have to trim this. So you just take a scissors and carefully trim it. Sometimes I pull it out a little bit more to get it. All the way around. You want to trim these, being careful not to cut your folded paper. You're just trimming off the excess. And like I said, after the first couple of them, once you get into it and you realize what you have to do, they go much, much quicker. And here's the last one. Okay. So now there is the completed Fröbel Star, and I have several here. It goes so much quicker. The first time is a little confusing. So if you follow the steps and make sure you're doing it correctly, you will be fine. Remember, there's a part where you have to flip it over. You're always doing 90, turning it 90 degrees when you're working both these spikes and when you're working the spikes that come up. Okay? So hopefully everybody can do well with this.